Hey, welcome back to another episode of Milton Daily Homes. I'm your host Chuck from Royal LePage and the Charlton Advantage team. I think this is probably like video 850 or something. It's crazy how long we've been doing this, but the goal is to make sure you've got the right information in your hands, something different than you'd see on MLS.ca, and usually a lot faster too. So we've got 24 properties on the one system, 2 more on the Oakville Melton. 254 gets you this one here on Maple. A couple things like taking that dog crate out of here. They have a lot of nice stuff, but clearing the counter off, making sure the oven is a little simpler, things out of the sink. Those are all basic things that just would have been that little extra touch that would have made a big difference here. Obviously, that probably is not the ideal state of this home. Anyway, not bad. It's got the 2 washrooms, which I think is going to help them out. It's one of the larger 1+1s. Overall, I give it 2 thumbs up. We've got this one on Childs here at 314.8, and it looks like these remind me of gigantic snowshoes. Inside, I get that it's a well cared for house. They say that in the description, but it's a little bit old school. And anything we're seeing at this kind of price point in condo towns, this is pretty much top bleeding edge of the price range for these kind of models. And I'm concerned that maybe they don't have the finishes that some of the other ones did in that price range. They do have some upgrades and some features that I think people are going to like. Is it possible to get over 3? Absolutely. 315 might be a bit of a stretch. We got a Skysweet here at 100 Millside. So this building is sort of well regarded by the 50+ crowd. 2-bedroom, 2-washroom. We're 1135 square feet. It's a nice floor plan. Really, you're probably in one of the, I would say, like you're in the bottom 2 in terms of the 4 directions you can face. I mean, obviously, if you're facing southwest, you get the best views of Mill Pond plus the city. Northeast on this side is probably the least desirable, but it's still great. You know, you still get a lot of nice stuff you can see from this one. I like the floor plan a lot, and you've got the higher ceilings too, which make a big impact on how you feel. I don't think they're that far off. There was a Skysweet that sold, I bet you, probably 2-3 years ago for around this price. It was more upgraded, but you figure over time, you've got 2 parking spaces. It's the fees are a bit high. They're almost $700 on the fees, but they include heat, hydro, cable. You start peeling that stuff back, and it doesn't seem too bad when you actually look at the net cost for it compared to other buildings. Burgess is 359. It's a Brent Ridge end. It's just a little bit under 1,300 square feet. It's the only Mattamy Village town that has an eat-in area, and yeah, you know, it's pretty much on par with what else you see for this kind of model. There's a breakfast bar. They've got the 3 bedrooms upstairs. These 2 rooms are not huge, but if you need 3 bedrooms, then guess what? It's got what it takes. We also do a monthly Village Town Report. You can go to villagetownreport.com and sign up and get your version of that every month. Centennial Forest, we're about 1,239 square feet. You could basically face the forest one direction. You can face EC Drury the other way. This one faces EC Drury. They could have simplified, but again, this is kind of like, you know, this is a building for the 50+ crowd, so you let it out a little bit here, so it's not a big deal if there's a lot of plates and patterned furniture, because that's pretty much the target crowd for something like this. Delridge built this one. It's a great building, very impressive from the outside. And Hampshire Waves, the next one up, 379, condo town. Although it's a very small, it's $56 a month, so we call it a Parcel Tideland. So it's an actual freehold town, but you're attached to the road, which is a condo. So you do special offers on certain forms with these. We've seen a lot of the smaller ones sell. We haven't seen as many of the 1357. Very similar in size to like a Mattamy Woodbine, which has been drifting up in the 370, 380 range. So aside from the condo fee, it's a straight comparison. You've got the 9-foot ceiling on this one. I like the finishes here a little bit better than we've seen in the Mattamy Village towns. It's also, in some cases, if you need to get on the 401, a much more convenient location. You can walk to the GO train. You can get on the highway very quick at James Snow. So I really like these ones. I've sort of come around on them. I was a little bit not so crazy when I first saw them, but as I've seen more about them and sort of seen the benefits, I've really learned to appreciate where they are and some of the unique things that other similar 3-story homes don't have. So Sire is 410. I don't know if having that beside is probably going to help people's decision point. I think that could almost be a bit of a drawback. You can tell this one's well cared for, and I think it looks really nice. They're competing against the other one on Sire, the grandma's house we talked about earlier this week. But this one doesn't back onto dairy. It's not as big of a lot. It's still 31 by 120. It's bigger than you can find anywhere in the new part, and I think it looks really good for the price. For 410, they're gonna rock and roll on that one. Bundy Drive is 414.9. There have been Croft sites that have sold at this price. The 2-car driveway is nice. 1360 square feet. The thing about this one, I like the fireplace, but because it's a townhouse and they're doing a window here, they can't exhaust the fireplace out that way, so they actually have to build it out of the wall. That's a wall that a lot of people need to put furniture, so you can only put a couch here and then maybe something against the kitchen wall. So I like the fireplace in here, but the bottom line is that it makes furniture positioning much more difficult in this home. They've got a cabinet depth fridge there, hardwood stairs, and a finished basement. They might get it. I like the finished laundry room. There's obviously a lot of pride of ownership here. We have, like I said, we've seen these models go for this kind of price. Weston is 439. It's a townhouse. You know, I would say for what else, there's a lot of stuff between 400 and maybe 475. You know, I always look at it like, how can you stand out? Here's another little thing, is if you see a closet that looks like this with furniture in and food in the fridge, you can pretty much tell. This is like detective work that we do when we're showing homes. Look for it. Is it just men's clothes? Is it just women's clothes? You can tell sometimes someone's motivation. And where I'm going with that is, have they already separated, divorced? It sounds bad, but that's the kind of stuff that we do. When you work for a buyer, you do everything and you let them know everything that you see and hear, and anything that would give them an advantage in an offering process. Natell Heights, it's 1510 square feet. It's a hills view end. I'm not crazy about the pictures, even the open toilet. I'll show you that one right there. Hey, look, open toilet. The fisheye doesn't do anything. That's not the way that we see homes. It's actually very difficult to visually process. The other thing is it backs onto the trailers, the Mattamy trailer. So I'm not sure what's going on behind here. You definitely want to check that out before you you proceed any further. Bustle Crescent is 449. I think it looks nice inside. It's got a lot of nice features, open concept. I like that little bit of tile they did in the powder room, finished basement with a little kitchen, so that can come in handy. Although when you look at the parking outside, it's probably not going to be sort of legal, as they say. Backs onto the train tracks, but you've got a lot of space here. Kids love to toboggan down that hill. And I've talked about this before. I guess they didn't change it, but it says, well, hey, look, we got an alarm, but it's not monitored. I don't know if I'd want to publicly display that. Jervis Terrace is 459. It's a Westgate corner, 1717 square feet. Last year these were going for 440, so at 459, this one looking as nice as it does it have a chance to sell above the 450? Absolutely, for sure. Completely different game over 450, and there's buyers that stop their search at 450, so you're in a different crowd there. But I think that they've got a lot of nice things here. There's a little kind of loft upstairs that can be handy for a home office, plus your 3 bedrooms. And you've got a bit of a wider lot too because you're on the corner. I like that one. So I don't think there's a better looking townhouse out there right now. Sauvé is 459. Same thing as previous. Very well done inside. Bit of a different style. Definitely a more modern edge to this one. Again, they're both nice. I mean, that's the first time I think I've seen gray pickets at all in Milton Daily Homes in those 800 or 900 episodes. Both I think are competing pretty well. Obviously, you're getting the end unit with the Westgate corner. Don't have a lot of information on black here. 460. We've got a linked home, 30 by 85, and a finished basement. Not much to go by just based on that. Coskin is 469, and for the size of this one's very long and narrow, like the bowling alley that I talked about earlier this week. When it's long and narrow, it's hard to position furniture. I don't think they're really in the game at $469, even with the finished basement. I do like a lot of things about the location, although you get the condo buildings close by. What's the next one here? Sloan. If you check the virtual tour, there's no photos, but there is the virtual tour. $519 is the price, 22 feet wide. This would be one of the highest sales ever if they did get anywhere close to this, or even over 500 for a lot that's this narrow. Coates is about 1,800 square feet. You've got 2-car parking side by side in the driveway, which is the next best thing to a double-car garage. And then you've got no finished basement here. I'd be surprised if they got this price. Convenient location, easy to get on the 401, but I think 520 might be a little ambitious. Sherwood is a great floor plan here. Court built it. You've got a separate dining plus family, and then you've got your kitchen here, upgraded countertops, and you're about 105 deep, which is a lot deeper than we see many of these new homes. No finished basement. You know, I think they're probably priced where they need to be. Botha is $559. It's a little bit smaller. Previous one is maybe 22 something square feet. This one's just over the edge of 2,000. The rooms are very narrow. It's hard to position furniture here, but they've done a good job with their cabinets. Raised them up a little bit higher, put the moldings on top of the cabinets, and there we go. So I would probably take the Corp one over this one here. Topper's $574. I've shown this home before, and the problem that people have with it is that it feels like you kind of walk through the front door and you're right into the living space, and there's a lot of negative feedback about that. It's a little bit narrow here, so you have to be careful with the scale of your dining room to not to still allow people to walk through. I don't know, it's probably not my favorite that I've seen up in that range. Holloways $639. It looks a lot like a Southwind model. And there's another really nice Southwind listed for $80,000 more than this. I like the model. I'm a big fan of it. Vaughn Court is $650, and it's a Chester model. I have problems with the Chester because you have to be careful with the scale of your dining room. The 4-bedroom, I find the rooms are a little bit small, and the family room can be a little bit tight, so the kitchen sort of infringes too far this way. I almost wish they had started the family room another foot or two this way. Just a couple little layout things that for my personal taste I find tough to deal with. They seem to be pretty popular though, and they tend to sell for a good number. I think they're a little high at $650 though. We've got this one at Pringle, $659. It's a linked townhouse. You don't have to be joined at $650. You can buy a lot of homes that aren't joined, but they've got the stone and stucco. This one backs onto green space. You've got escarpment views in the front, and you've got some really nice finishes inside. Even I like the look of, I'll show you the windows right here. This almost reminds me of like a Toronto home. So there are some really nice design features in this section of homes. His and hers closets in the master, and they've chosen some nice upgrades. There's been a couple lower sales in this complex, but being the end unit, and I think their kitchen may look even better in person. So they might get that kind of money. Over $650, it's hard to say. It's a little bit tougher to get someone to draw over that $650. You know, $620, $630, $640. Lots of ammunition about why someone should pay that. Fourth line is 2.15. It's on 100 acres, so right there you're 7 figures, and then you've got a completely redone 1850s. I think it's a schoolhouse, or it could have been a residential home. It's very nice inside. One of my favorite looking homes on the market right now, and it looks like it's about 4,700 square feet of living space. That at one point was probably dugout space, so they probably had to excavate the whole basement. Cost of that is probably astronomical. That, I'm not sure where that is. It could be above the garage, but it's a very nice looking home. One of my personal favorites out there right now. You gotta have some horsepower to write that check, because banks, as you hit over $1 million, it becomes harder and harder to finance, and they want more and more of a down payment on a almost a logarithmic scale. It's much harder to buy a $2 million home than even a 1.5. So you start to see the audience really narrow down. Hampshire Waves 409. It's about a 1,500 square foot townhouse. Whoops, I flipped the listing instead of the pictures. And it's got a gas stove, which is nice. It's basically one big room on the main floor, then you have your 3 bedrooms upstairs. I've seen homes that are 1,500 square feet that feel bigger than this one. And I think if you're going to be packing your stuff up to move, you got to declutter that or just not show it. I just don't know if it's really adding anything to the rest of the house. You have no idea where that door goes. What it actually is that's a door, I believe, to the garage so that you can bring your lawnmower out to the backyard, which the Mattamy ones don't have. So I think it's probably over on the side here, over on the side here. That's one of the things that people are surprised with the Mattamy homes is that you don't have a door directly from your garage to the backyard. So you have a right of way where you pass through your neighbor's yard in the back. And then the last one of the day, last one of the week, is this one on Vickerman 454, and it looks like, I didn't notice this before, but it looks like they might even have a lighted pathway, which we see very rarely. I think that would look great in the nighttime. So it's a Fern Ridge 1660, they say 65, I think it's 64 on the floor plans, but we'll give them the benefit of the doubt. Nice quality fridge. You know, same kind of thing with this one. Semis, I've seen them sell all over. There's justification for this price. There's also larger homes that have sold for less too. So we'll have to see what happens with it. You basically kind of choose the midpoint, maybe lean a little bit more on the high side, and you see what happens with the semis just because of the data being all over the place. So if you have any questions, give us a call, and I hope you have a great Easter weekend. We're probably not going to do a video tomorrow, but we will be back on Monday with even more properties. And until then, take care, and we'll see you then.